Midnight Range TM here. So I'm going to be mounting a scope on my Howe 1500 223 that I have. And the scope I used, first of all, I want to say thanks to Calaveras 38 Special. He won a scope from Budget Guns and Gear Reviews and didn't need it. So he was willing to send it my way. So and I'll be talking about the scope a little bit more once I actually get this thing to the range. We can sort of shoot it in and talk about the scope a little bit. But we're going to talk about the mounting of it now. I've never mounted a scope myself like this. I've thrown red dots on and things like that, but I've never done anything like this. So I thought I'd sort of chronicle it and see how it goes. And I did already sort of mock it up a little bit just to see how it was going to go. And I ran into a couple of problems, issues. Not anything that I can't work around, but it wasn't really sort of the easy peasy 1, 2, 3 kind of thing that a lot of times it is when you mount a scope. So what I did was I really tried to do this on as tight a budget as I could. I thought it'd be fun to really do, some inexpensive parts and see how it works. The mount, the scope base is a loophole, which is nice. I had a gift card, so I used it for that. The rings, I went to Walmart and bought a set of Weaver rings for like $8, and I thought, let's see what happens when we use those, just to do something super budget. And the scope's a budget scope. It's like a $60 or $70 scope. So you take a nice rifle and really spend as little as possible and see what kind of accuracy we get at the range. So, so far all I've done is I've loosely put on the bases, the ring bases. And one thing you want to do is always when you put your ring bases on, you want to move them towards the front, slide them front in the rail. They're always going to have a little bit of play. Not always, but if they have a little bit of play, you want to push them forward towards the muzzle. That way under recoil, they're not going to move around on you. So move them front, and I'm just going to give them a good finger tighten. Okay. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to lap the rings, something that I've never done. I've had it done on rifles, but I've never done it personally, so I thought that would be kind of fun to do. So first thing I'm going to do is tighten these bases. I have a fat wrench by Wheeler. I have it set to 30 pounds. So we're going to see what 30 pounds does. Different places are going to tell you different things. There are no instructions with the rings that I got. They just say to tighten, and it says do not over tighten. So we'll see, who knows what that means. But we're going to take this to 30 pounds and see what 30 pounds feels like. And if we feel like we need to go a little bit farther, that's 30 pounds. I'm actually going to go a little bit heavier. And if you've never used one of these, they're great. This is not the digital one. You just pull down on the base, bring it up a little bit. I'm going to take it to 35 pounds and give it a little bit more. Okay. And I'll tell you why I'm not going higher then after I get this done. And like I said, this is a torque. These are great. They do a digital too. There we go. Okay. So the reason I'm not going to go higher right off the bat, and I might tighten these down a little bit later, is because of the diameter of the ocular lens on this rifle. This is a 50 millimeter. I'm a little bit worried that when I mount this, I'm not going to be able to mount it far enough back to give me the eye relief I need. Okay, so I know you guys can't see this, but under here, at the very front of the base, the loophole base, where the ocular lens starts to bell out, that's as far back as I can go right there without it touching. So if this scope needs to come back farther, if I need less, the eye relief, I can't do it with these rings. So these are a medium height ring. I would have to go to a high. The medium are nice, and I'd like to use a medium height, but if I have to go to a high, I will. So that's why I'm not going to go super, super tight on these, because I might have to take them off. We'll see. Now, with the lapping kit, it comes with these alignment bars. It comes with 2 sets. They're really precisely machined, and you can see they have, each one of them comes to a point, very, very tiny point. And what you do is you put one on the back, and I did do this already too, one on the front just to check, and you get them to touch, or try to touch. Okay, so you can look at them 365 degrees, look at them from one side, look at them from the top, and you look at them from, you know, the other side if you have to, or whatever. And again, I know this is really small, you can't really see, but I was super, super surprised. I expected these to be a little bit out of whack, a little bit wonky, and they're not. They're actually really, really close to being dead on. So close that if I wasn't doing this just to do it for fun, I probably wouldn't lap them. I would just let it go. And that actually, you know, for an $8 set of rings, you can't ask for anything more, honestly. But what's nice is it kind of does go to show you nowadays that even some of the budget stuff with the machining techniques, you can get some good quality out of things. You don't have to spend a ton of money. So basically, I'm gonna lap them just to do it, because this is a project of mine and I want to do it for sure as practice. So the kit comes with this 220 grit paste, and it's basically just a little compound. You put a little tiny bit inside each one, and you use this lapping bar. There's 2 different sizes bars. There's 2 different size alignment bars for different rings, either 30 millimeter or 1 inch or whatever. And basically, you're going to set the lapping bar inside the rings. Some people will tell you don't have to do the top rings, but again, I'm kind of using this as a little bit of practice. So I'm gonna actually lap the tops too. So, okay, so I've got everything just very, very lightly screwed in there. So you just kind of move the bar back and forth in the rings, and you'll feel it sort of basically grinding the inside of the rings. And I know I don't need to do a whole lot, and I can already feel that it's really starting to lighten up with the amount of force it takes. I barely have to touch it now. So I'm actually gonna stop, unscrew these, and test it again and see if it's come any closer. Okay, so I'm just gonna wipe the inside of the rings off, and I don't know if you can see, but you can see that the gray lines. That's where some of the rings have been worn away. That's not the compound, that's all cleaned off. And that's what you want to see. Those were just high spots in the rings. So that's exactly what I wanted to see. Just a little bit here and there. Same thing on the front ones. There's a little bit of worn spots. And same thing on the top set. Just a little bit worn away. So one thing you want to do is you want to remember how you had these on, you know, and put them down correctly. So you put the right ones where they belong and in the orientation that they belong. Now, We're going to try these again. See if it's even closer, which doesn't need to be. Yeah, that's dead on. That's great. That's really cool. That's perfect. Yeah. Okay, next is the next issue that I kind of stumbled into was the kit that I have from Wheeler, which I do like. It has the bars, it has everything with it that you need, the compound, all that kind of stuff. It had the wrench with it and all that. It actually had these levels, bubble levels, and it's one of them is supposed to go on top of the scope, and one of them is to go on the rifle, so that way you know that they are in line with each other, they are level with each other. So you could sit one on the rail here, and then you would just move the rifle a little bit to the point where, oops, wrong direction. You would just level it, and there. Now, what I don't like is this side of it. And what this is it has a magnet, and you're supposed to be able to put it inside the action and get the level of the rifle. And then I just did this for example. This one would actually go on top of the scope, on top of the turret. So that way you know if the scope and the rifle are in the same orientation. But I can't get this thing to sit right. There's no great way, and maybe I'm doing it wrong. I've looked it up online a little bit, and I found an awful lot of people that don't like it too. I can't get it to sit in there where I feel is level, especially even in orientation with the rail. So this I don't like. I don't like it at all, to tell you the truth. So I'm not using it. They do make bubble levels that are really narrow that fit inside the slots of the Picatinny, and that is what I wish it came with. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the Wheeler ones, and I had actually bought these a while back because when I knew I was going to do this, but I didn't know the kit came with it. And they were just little cheap bubble levels. And I bought for like $3, I got like 12 of them. I got a bunch of them. And there was one or two that were a little weird, but all the other ones were great. So I found that I could put one across here to come to read level. Okay. And then the other one, to make sure that I'm right on level, and they're both dead on. Now what I'll do is I'll put the scope on, and I'll put this one on top of the turret. So that's my workaround here. Thing I want to do is make sure the scope is clean. We already wiped the bases off. We're going to put this as perfect as we can, as far back as we can without it actually touching the rail. Okay. Now, we know that the rifle is level. We're going to lay this one across the turret and bring that one to level. Now, theoretically, the rifle and the scope are now in alignment. There we go. I come just a little bit, little tiny bit that way. Okay, so we're going to lay the rings over the top. Make sure there's none of that compound in there. Although, I don't think it would hurt, to tell you the truth. Make it a little more grippy, maybe. And we're going to put in our set screws. Okay, so one of the things that I also found with the Wheeler kit was that it did not have a tip that fit these bolts, these screws. These are just hex screws, little machine screws. They're not the little star bits. And this is what came with the Wheeler. You know, it's a nice little assortment, but it doesn't have what I need. It has some stars, or the six-sided stars, and it has some hex, but they don't fit right. They just happen to not fit the one that I have. So I took one out of a little set that I have, and I'm going to reuse that. So just be known that if you don't have a bunch of stuff laying around, you might have to improvise a little bit, or you might have to go buy something. Now Wheeler does make the fat wrench that comes with a kit that has a ton of bits in it. Mine just didn't. So it's just a little bit different. Okay, so I had to get into my toolkit, find a little socket that fit this, and then use this as an adapter. And then I will set this, set the fat wrench to 18 pounds, and we'll tighten these down. So I've just adjusted all the screws just hand tight, really, really lightly. I've made sure that both my levels are still reading the same. And we're going to tighten these down just a little bit at a time. I have it set at 18 or 19 pounds, not a whole lot. We're going to go back and forth and hit them all. Start over. And eventually we'll hit what we're looking for here. You don't want to just do one a whole bunch and then do the next. You'll lose your level. This is the best way, just like you're doing lug nuts on a car. You don't want to do one, then the second, then the third, then the fourth, then the fifth. You go opposites. There we go. That one clicked, so that's at the 18 or 19 pounds. 18 or 19 pounds. And check our level. That level's still perfect. That level's still perfect on the rifle. So we now have a mounted scope that should be leveled, should be torqued down properly, and as long as my eye relief is okay, we're good to go. So once we get to the range, we'll decide whether this eye relief is okay or not. If it's not, we're going to change the rings out, go through the process again, which doesn't take very long anyway. And it's a fun little project. So that's it. And I hope you like this. I hope it was entertaining. And I hope that it gives you an idea of some of the things that could go wrong, maybe. So thanks a lot. Bye. Hey guys, medium rare, son of a bitch.